Hi there. Well, we have a special treat again, and I have a very, very special guest with me. This is Marty Phipps Van Tassel, and we're today in a McElhinney House, one of Fairfield's treasures. And we have our annual tour of homes here again. And this year, I guess we decided collection of toys. Is that correct, Marty?
Right, that's the display that we're showing at McElhinney House this afternoon.
And you were in charge again. How many years have you done this?
Oh, 5 years. This is the 5th and final for myself.
I heard that before. But so after a while we'll go around and we can talk a little bit about the different tables if you
Great.
like.
That'd be great.
And so we're so happy to be here again and be guests of the Women's Club. So why don't we start and go around and talk a little bit about each table.
That'll be fine.
Marty, this seems to be the trend, theme trees. Really, it's everybody does a little bit their own thing. Whatever you collect, whatever your heart's desire, you have a tree. And this one is, Barb Frederick made that. And the Fredericks are well-known businessmen and women in town. And she has a special tree, a theme of her restaurant.
That's right. Barb told me she'd been collecting these McDonald land toys since Happy Meals became the in thing with our children. And so this tree has samples of all those toys from the last many years. From Ronald McDonald, Miss Piggy.
And the Bernstein Bears.
Yes.
Whoops, stay there.
Some I haven't even noticed before.
I know, neat. And then also the whole Dalmatian, and I think she has every single ornament that came out, or every single, I should say, toy.
Toy that was given by McDonald's, as well as this lovely display case to display and keep them in.
Okay, and then also I had no idea they even had dolls. Did you?
No, I didn't either. And they have beautiful faces on these.
Can you see that? Very sweet, very sweet. And then over here, Marty, is Lego. Now, my son Alan would just absolutely love that. He's a Lego man. But there is good old Ron, all made out of Legos.
Yes. He is still in his original display box. Has not been and probably won't be ever removed. But he is in tip-top shape.
Absolutely. Now, in my house, this would be all taken apart, and something else would have been made out of it.
Like those baby dolls that never keep their clothes on.
Right. So what a neat idea to incorporate, and in this case, their business into a special tree. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, this is not any picnic. This is all baked. No, that's supposed to be in front of one.
Okay, next one is one of my little bear collections, and I had to really look for it. You know how it goes? You think you have everything in one bag, and I'm still missing bears, and I have no idea where they are. So this is a little collection of mine. I started collecting bears when the children were born. So it was something that really was something for me, but I said it's for the boys. And I want to point out one special bear. It's this little one, and that's a reproduction of the original bears when they became teddy bears. Before they were just bears, and then when Theodore Roosevelt promoted bears, the Steiff company in Germany really that was their first plush toy they made, teddy bears. And this is a reproduction of a bear in 1911. So when they started out making bears, all the bears had muscles. I don't know if you remember seeing old films or reels of circus. All the bears that were in circuses had these muscles on. And that's how they started out. And we will talk a little bit more about Steiff animals later. We have a display that has a bunch of Steiff animals. But this is a reproduction of one of the original designs from Steiff. And of course, they got into having more the lovable teddy bears. And there's different ones that I picked up over the years. This is one of my favorite ones. Her name is Bernadette, and I just couldn't resist. How can you resist with a sweet face like that? A lot to see and to talk about at this table, Marty. Tell us a little bit about it.
There are several things here that have been contributed by several of the Women's Club members. Speaking of bears again, is a particular old bear of Nan Cameron's mother. And this was about at the turn of the century, about the time that the bear became the teddy bear.
Right, right.
Other special things include an Erector set and of the original block cities, which were just prior to Legos. I think this Ferris wheel in front of you, Karin, is especially neat. We're guessing from the 40s.
And see, these are the forerunners of the blocks that everybody is using now. Same concept, only the knobs are bigger. So.
Dr. Marty Gleason's G.I. Joe and all its accessories from probably the late 60s. Don Swan's toy cash register that he played with as a child.
And there's some special coins in here.
Something from Missouri, but I don't
Some kind of tax coins. And you really, when you see Don somewhere, ask him about it. I'm sure he has a story about this.
Some of Ann Roth's children's favorite toys, probably from the 50s, early 60s, and a very unique typewriter.
Yeah, I'll take it out of the box. Again, one of the special tin toys that were, I would say, manufactured in the 40s, 50s. I'm not sure.
This could be a little later.
Okay.
And these were contributed by Betty Steiff.
Yeah, and we still have the original box, what is really neat. Did we talk about the Ferris wheel?
Well, I just mentioned that I thought it was from the 40s, but it's in great shape.
Yeah.
All the parts are there.
Yep. Okay. The Jack in the Box, and then also
The cameras. We have several cameras here that are from a collection that Lorraine and Ross Walker have accumulated over the years.
very nice, nice. Now this is the times before everything was automatic, right, Marty? So you really had to know. And some even came with a little booklet, how to measure the light and so on. And this one also has the original box. So people are really serious when they collect. I think they keep just everything nice and neat together.
And it's certainly been proven through the years that if you do have the original box,
Right,
the
right.
item inside is of much greater value.
Yeah, good. Now, Marty, here, and then I think that's really one of my favorite collections because it reminds me of my childhood. And these are Steiff animals or stuffed toys that are, Steiff is a very famous German company that produces stuffed toys. And to have a real or an original, and I'm going to take the little Kiddy Steiff toy, and if you have one at home, it needs to have a button in the ear. And it's a metal button, and it says Steiff on it. And most animals also are named, so they have little name tags on it. And this is a collection of Sigmore and Diane Bauman and Deb Hampel. Deb Hampel has some very nice specimens, and they have been signed. This is a really, really special and valuable collection. And Sig was telling us that it was custom, I guess, in her house when she was a child to get a Steiff toy as a stocking stuffer. Is that correct? Yeah.
That's right. Another special Steiff toy is down here, a donkey that belongs to Tom Loudon Sr. His mother purchased this for his children as they were growing up.
And it also, and I can't resist, have to show it. Did you hear that? I mean, it makes a noise, and it was well loved, as you can see. This little donkey has been around, and thank you for the Loudons to let us to share this animal with us. Marty, I will let you talk about this display because that's really special to you, and it's been in your family for a long time.
My grandfather made this farmyard and buildings, we believe around 1930, 1931. He was a carpenter who did the interior finish work for the Maytag homes in Newton and built these replicas in his spare time. They're real special to me. They have many moving parts. Unfortunately, there are a few doors missing, although I have the pieces. I would love to find a craftsman who could repair them for me. But there are many moving pieces there. The shingles were cut by hand, and it's just one of those things that I grew up with and have displayed in my home.
Yeah,
every month.
Tell me a little bit, before you were sharing this, about this barn, because it has this really neat feature that I'm just fascinated with.
I'm not a farm girl, but as I understand it, there was a bucket inside all of these large barns that manure could be emptied into and then somehow taken down to the door and emptied into the barnyard. And if you look very carefully, you can see this particular bucket on the inside.
Yeah, and then there's a little buttons where you could probably move the bucket back and forth.
Right.
So it all has moving parts, and then look at the neat cupola on that. It reminds me of one of those Loudon cupolas, and it probably is a reproduction of it.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so.
Chicken coop. So if you drive around and into the Iowa countryside, you'll find these buildings. I have seen a chicken coop in the shed, I guess, where they kept the tractors and all that, and then also the pig house.
Right.
Or the pig
And
stay.
there are windows with all the little hand trimming made for the framework as well as the isinglass cut for the windows themselves.
Yeah, you can see here the siding. It's all hand nailed onto the side. So it really looks real. What a treasure. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Marbles, marbles, marbles. What a neat way to display them in these old, wonderful mason jars. And this Julie Gleason shared that with us, and she brought that, and I think has done a little bit of research on the marbles. Unfortunately, she isn't here, so we can't ask her.
Certainly don't know about Julie's, unfortunately, but I do know that Diane has her father-in-law's marbles that he collected as a child, and she has done a lot of research, has them bagged in individual Ziploc bags and labeled as well.
Yes, so there's a few treasures in there.
And I know they're very special to her family. Also have a 1920 Kiddy car here that Arlene Marr brought us. I believe it has been refinished, but it's in excellent condition for its age.
Another treasure. Books, 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 Marty, and what a neat display you have put together for all of us. Sometimes it's hard to display books. It's just something fell off the table. Ladies and gentlemen, this is life, so what can we say? And these are collections, I believe, from Dixie Johnson.
That's right.
And who else, Marty? Irene? Irene Stagg. So we have some golden books and then some really, really treasures. And I know this is a special book of yours, and if you want to share something. Little Black Sambo, a classic, and it's becoming very valuable because we have African collections are becoming really big. So this is very valuable. Also, we have, and this is from the collection from Dixie Johnson's. Look how sweet. These are Christmas books, and they actually have signatures and things when they were given. And I think this one was given in 1919. They're in perfect condition, including the little bookmark. A nice collection of antique books, and I hope you could come and look at it. It's just really nice. Trains.
Reverend Dick Walrab has a huge collection of train sets, and he shared this particular one with us for the display this year. It's a Lionel, and I believe the engine is from the 1950s. Other than that, I don't know much about it, but I know it does work.
And it runs
It
too.
runs well.
And Bob isn't here to show us.
Right.
Bob Phipps is our helper, and I don't know where he is, but he'll run it for us later on. Neat. And the table and everything comes together, and all the, I think the rails and everything is attached, so it's quite unique. And who can resist this table? All of us who have boys in our homes, we can relate stepping on these metal toys in the middle of the night, and it really hurts. So these are several collections put together on this table. Marty, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
This first large fire truck is from 1952, played with by Steve and Craig Mayer. I'm sure they had a lot of fun with it. I still see this style of fire truck in the
Yes.
store, but they're usually not with the intricate metal parts
Right,
that you
right.
see
Yeah.
from the 50s. Lorraine Walker brought a truck that she was given as a child, and it's seen many a day.
Yes, a few dents, so very well used.
I have a collection here, first of a large boat, which was a bathtub toy of Clip Kirschwin, Ruth and Harry's son, and many of the small trucks, including a few military vehicles. And these probably are from the 1940s
Yeah.
as well.
And the nice thing about these, Marty, they're all metal,
Yes.
except the little wheels, so very sturdy.
And this particular collection is from my husband, Bob Phipps, and I think this military Jeep is probably the one that is most priceless out of it, from the 40s, and these characters do come in and out. And it just has a lot of detail on it that, again, we don't see today quite as often.
Yeah, look at these neat race cars. Also, well used, because the paint is coming out, but what a nice thing to keep and to share. Well, it's a girl's world. We're in a room that lots of little girls will relate to, don't you think?
Oh, I think so. Little girls of all ages.
That's right. Tell us a little bit about this table.
This is a doll collection that is a combination of my collection, my daughter's, and Sigmore's. They are all dolls that were made in foreign countries. My father's business partner started my collection, and I passed it on to Katie. Of course, because Katie was born in Colombia, we have many Colombian dolls in this collection, as well as a few others that are of newer vintage. But many of these are at least from the 50s and 60s, from Europe, South America, as well as Asia.
Mm-hmm. There is a pair of dolls, Marty, that I want to point out, and that's from Sigmore's collection. And I want to point this out because I have them, and I played with them. These were fundraiser dolls for the UN before it came UNICEF, the fundraisers for the what they were doing. This was a fundraiser, I believe, for the Children's World Health Fund before they started selling Christmas cards. So these are really special. And they had wooden dolls from different ethnic groups and country groups you could buy. And they were usually sold in museum shops, and then also you can get them from catalogs. or in World Trade Center and so on. So these dolls are really, really special.
Several of the dolls in this corner are from Poland, as were the two of Sigs that she purchased at the UN.
They all have little handkerchiefs on, and you get a little bit of a Russian feeling, Eastern European feeling about their dresses and their little handkerchiefs. Very nice. This is also something that I really love. Early electric toys. And you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Well, this certainly has to be one of the earliest doll irons. And it does have the original electric cording and plug-in. Not sure if it still works, but it's in great shape. And the little ironing board here, this is from Lorraine Walker's collection, and she's got her little hankies, her dog clothes all ready to go.
Oh, see, isn't that neat?
There's also a doll washer up here on this end table, and I've never seen anything quite like that.
Also in perfect condition.
Yes, it is. The sled in the background here is from Evelyn Meyer's husband in the Libertyville area. I really don't recall how old it is, but you can tell by the finish that it is old, and it was well used, I believe, by Mr. Meyer's father.
Something neat here too, Marty.
Yes. This buggy and doll on the inside is from Julie Gleason. Her grandmother actually played with this buggy a lot, and this was her doll, about 1907 vintage. The inside of the buggy has been restored, but it is a very quaint.
Yeah, and in perfect condition.
Yes,
the maker is just perfect.
We have another iron
Yeah,
display.
domestic.
Yes, indeed. These irons on the edge of the end table are from the 1900s, the type where the iron itself was put on the wood-burning stove, heated up, and then the ironing began. But this one very precious iron did belong to Judith Ward's grandmother, Elizabeth Parsons, and is about 150 years old. The ironing board, scrub board, and all of these irons are in Judith's collection.
And here is a really special collection, Marty. This is Susan Kessel's Barbie doll collection. And when Susan was unpacking that, I was right in there, and we actually started to play a little bit. But I want to, and I believe it's around 1963, and the good collector and the orderly collector that Susan is, she even has, and that's simply amazing. You know, I have to show that to you because I'm just fascinated by it, because I didn't have Barbie dolls. The original pantyhose. So I am so impressed. And some of these dolls have actually their original outfits on. Like, I understand this one has still her bathing suit on it, although it's kind of slipping over the years, but she has been undressed so many times that it's understandable. And also Susan was telling me something. What I didn't know is she could purchase these heads. I understand they're not original Barbie heads, but they were available. So you could actually, instead of changing her hairstyle, just put a different head on. Isn't this neat?
Yes, I didn't know that either.
And then, of course, Susan still has the original boxes here. And then also, I understand that was one of Susan's favorite outfits, this very glamorous nightgown and house coat with stuffed animal and, ladies and gentlemen, her own pink phone. Now, aren't you impressed? Also, Barbie, if she wants to be glamorous, her own fur cape. And I'm not sure if they produce fur capes anymore because we're really into environmental and animal protection. So this might be really valuable. It just feels like, I don't know what it is. It's probably rabbit, but oh, isn't this chic? And with that, she has these outfits, this gold lame outfit. And another thing that I was real excited about is the stewardess outfit.
Stewardess.
Yes, and it has this little blue, and if you traveled in the early 60s, that's how they all looked. They were all blue, and they had these little white gloves. So isn't this super? And then also, of course, Susan's mom had to do some handiwork, so Susan's mom knitted a lot of clothes for Barbie. One of the most stylish Barbies in town, I'm sure.
I am sure.
Oh, something really special here, Marty.
This is a very elegant tea set that Jackie Parkin was given on her 4th birthday. Unsure of the year.
Yes, we have question marks, and it's a private joke. But look at the beautiful design. And also, in the original box.
And isn't the box special? It has a Christmas motif on it, but it is very well preserved.
And I'm going to move out and come closer to you, Marty, excuse me, so we can look at the other treasures right there. Joanne Lee shared with us this old kitchen cupboard that she played with. And I'm sure it was painted several times, don't you think?
Probably. Every time her mom's kitchen cupboards were painted,
Yes.
probably.
Yes.
It's unique because it does still have the opening and closing
Yeah.
with flowers.
Excuse me, I will just, so it's all intact, pretty good shape.
We also have 2 dolls here who were given to us to display by Jenna Foster. The one on the left belonged to her mother and is over 100 years old. It has been restored and the clothing is quite new. The doll on the right was Jenna's as a child, and again she has been restored and with a new turquoise dress, but does have on the original shoes and stockings.
Marty, I'm not familiar with these dolls, so maybe you can help me out. I understand they're Patsy and Skippy dolls.
To be honest, I'm not too familiar either, although I do know Ruth Kirschwin had a Patsy doll as a child.
Uh-huh.
It was one of her very favorites.
Okay.
So perhaps that would help date the dolls a bit. Since her birth in 1928, America has fallen in love with Sweet Patsy.
I see.
So they have been around for several years.
And this is a display by Loretta Reineberger, and she put, I think, a really nice display together. A sweet quilt right there, and then the dollies on top. And we're getting very close to and Ruth Kirschwin. Ruth and Harry brought a lot of treasures and that they shared with us, and we thank him very much. And one of their treasures is, I think, music instruments.
Yes, this is a harmonica collection, and they are displayed in an old lady's trunk. The lady's trunk does date back to the 1860s.
All right, so a family treasure.
It is indeed.
Okay. And here we have a wonderful piece of furniture. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Marty, please?
This was made by an aunt of Ruth Kirschwin's in approximately the 1880s while she was in manual training. It was originally caned, but in the 1940s, another aunt did the needlepoint work.
So it's really another treasure. And then also a little sweet dolly sitting there.
Called a Bilo doll, as
Okay.
I understand it. And the significance of this is that the doll's face was modeled after a true baby.
Oh, neat.
Dixie Johnson prepared this next table for us, and it has several items of interest on it. A beautiful tea set,
Sweet.
some Pyrex children's baking dishes, which were a premium because her mother bought a whole new set of Pyrex, and this just happened to come along with them. The old metal Ford car in the rear of the table was a gift to Dixie from Lee Gobble, local Fairfield resident, at one of her birthday parties as a child.
Another treasure, the celluloid little doll, that's before plastic, really, so it's really valuable. Tiny, tiny, tiny in a high chair, so another treasure.
She used that and the tea set in her dollhouse. Simon Stewart.
Yeah. Really a favorite, actually seasonal favorite, and you can see them everywhere now for any occasion and season, are stacking toys. And it's a nice variety of, and this is a collection from you, Marty, and then also Diane Bauman, so you shared that. There is, let me see, and the stacking toys really originated in Russia, White Russia, and these were called babushkas. So they were all ladies in the handkerchief, and then you would take them apart, and children would play with it. And now they're so popular that they come in a variety of themes, really. And we have here Little Red Riding Hood with the wolf and Grandma. We have Red Riding Hood here. We have Christmas theme, Easter theme, and then Wizard of Oz, a favorite of mine, Dorothy, and Tin Man and Lion, and so on. So it's and then also, of course, Halloween, stacking toys for Halloween. So really, the sky's the limit with stacking toys. A very nice collection. Thank you, ladies, for sharing them with us. And this is also a very special piece of furniture, Marty, I think that Joanne Lee brought and shared with us.
Yes, she believes that it was purchased by her father at an auction. It was either especially made for or by a William Lawyer.
Yes.
And Dixie Johnson informed me that he had been a high school music teacher here in Fairfield, as well as band leader for a 34th Army Band in years past.
Another dolly, and I understand it's one of those Gerber baby dollies, so they were fashioned after the company, and the little Gerber jars, I think, had all the sweet faces on them, if you remember, and I think they still do.
And the little curl.
And the little curl in the
Right.
middle, so. And then also, it's sitting in a very special chair that Nell Egley brought, and I suppose that was made by her great-grandfather. Is that correct, Marty?
Yes, great-grandfather around 1875.
Another neat collection, and I can totally relate with Deb Hempel. Deb Hempel is one of our lovely local school teachers that has 2 boys in her home, but you can't tell by this. So you have to do something to bring a little bit of girlhood into your house. So Debbie started, in I don't know how long, collecting cabbage dolls and these special bears. Marty, you want to tell us a little bit about?
She, I'm sure, began her collection long before we and I knew
Yeah.
Cabbage Patches
Yeah.
were going to be so famous, expensive, and hard to purchase. We have here 3 of the original porcelain-faced Cabbage Patches, and she also has the article that was written about these particular 3. Another original is the first soft sculpture
Right there.
Cabbage Patch, and this was purchased at Babyland. There are several other examples here, especially the porcelain face dolls, which I don't know that we ever saw in Fairfield.
Right, right.
Xavier also did these fur skin bears, which I've never seen before either, but whether the dolls took over and they lost their popularity, I'm not sure. But there are 4, and again, written up in a display.
Yeah, and look at the size of these boots. Boy, these bears have big feet. And they all, I noticed they're all signed underneath the paws. So that's something special, I guess he did after or with the Cabbage Patch dolls. So that's something that I'm not familiar with, but they're comical.
Yes, they are.
Another neat table, Marty.
Nan Cameron put this table together. Beloved Belinda, one of her very favorites. She has the doll that she played with for many years, as well as the book Beloved Belinda. Also, original Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy dolls, and a first edition copy of the book, Raggedy Ann in the Golden Meadow.
Another lovable toy, and that was, it's from a story that Nan would like to read to her grandchildren, The Camel with the Wrinkled Knees, and Nan has the book with it, and then also this toy is handmade. There's also a very comical story about this tea set. You want to share that?
One of Nan's prized possessions, her particular tea set that she played with in the 1940s. And the comments that she has written here are, the teacup shows how little granddaughters can glue back together something they've been told not to play with. And they never said a word to Nan, but she found it this way in her china cupboard. And there are a few holes. You wouldn't be drinking a whole lot of tea out of this particular cup, but it has old memories as well as current memories for her.
The treasures on this table, Marty. Oh, where to start?
There are lots of favorites from lots of people being displayed here. I think probably one that children of all ages would appreciate would be the Howdy Doody doll.
Yes.
Or puppet.
Yes.
We also have here a Gibson doll, a G.I. Joe doll, a Madame Alexander huggable doll,
Very sweet.
a Shirley Temple doll, dating back to the 50s. Those are by Betty South, Deb Hempel, and Sig Moore. Also in Sig's collection are a ballerina doll and 3 Ginny dolls, which I also remember having as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a doll that Sig received for Christmas one year that I believe she said was one of the first walking.
Yeah, you had to hold them like this and then it would walk. I had one of those. I don't know what happened to her, but I had one of those. Last but not least, Marty, this is a really special collection. And Marilyn shared that, Marilyn Elliott shared that with us. These are cut out Lemon Sisters figurines, Annette, Roy Rogers, and Dale Evans. And there is a really neat story behind that, isn't there?
Marilyn told me that she and her sister both grew up in a very musical family with musical backgrounds and grew up loving the Lennon Sisters. And she, as a child, played with these particular paper dolls. This last summer, she took a trip to Branson, Missouri, and was able to see the Lennon Sisters perform live. And afterwards met them, and they autographed the paper dolls. They were as excited about seeing them as Marilyn has been about collecting them all these years.
Well, this is quite an event again, and thank you for having us.
We're so pleased you came.
Mrs. Reineberger, I understand you were the chairperson this year.
Yes.
For the tour of homes and also for the display. Marty Phipps was in charge of putting it all together, but you were responsible for this whole thing, weren't you?
Well, Barbara Smith and I were responsible for the tour of homes, the pilgrimage of homes. Marty Phipps was in charge of the displays.
Right.
So we divided that up because it's too much for 2 people.
Right.
And this morning we have Mary Pettit at the tea table, and Jackie Parkin, and my co-chairman, Barbara Smith, and at the bake sale, you can see we've got a huge amount of baked goods. Kathleen Nelson and Jean Thoma.
Mrs. Reineberger, something exciting happened to a very well-known artist that did something wonderful for this house.
Right. This is P. Buckley Moss print. It is of the McElhinney House. And on the information it says Holiday Memories.
And it came out this year?
Yes, it did.
Okay, good. Very nice.
And there's a round barn, which is typical of Iowa. And the old church, and the children that Moss particularly enjoys painting. This was loaned to us for now.
But if people want it, it's available in this area, not in Fairfield, but
Right.
I understand.
Yes, it is available in the area, and any member of Women's Club could tell you how to
Right.
get a print.
Right. Well, Mrs. Reineberger, another wonderful event, and I
Yes.
wish the Women's Club very much success, and hopefully we'll see you next year again.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
We plan to do it again.
Great.